Hi, welcome to CSEC Biology, the cover page. Today we'll be going through the June 2012 Biology past paper, and we're going to be looking at paper 1. I will be providing you answers and explanation that will bring you closer to your 1 in biology, even with the COVID pandemic. Now, this paper came to me with some of the questions answered, so you might see me changing some and making different choices as we go through the paper. Let's go. Question number 1. Which of the following is a correct sequence of feeding relationships in a food chain? Now we go for B because a food chain usually begins with a producer followed by the herbivore and then you go to the carnivore, that sort of a thing. So B we went with. Now the other question number 2, which of the following are involved in the cycling of nutrients in nature? Now we went for C, bacteria and of course earthworm. Those are familiar to you. We think that plants will go deep into the soil and pull that nutrients up, and then it will get back to the top of the soil via the leaf falling out from the tree. For CSEC we chose C, but beyond CSEC we would look at human to say that human is also responsible for the cycling of nutrient. But for CSEC we think that it would be most appropriate to choose C. You can tell us what you think in the comment. Now for 3, it refers to the following list: number of legs, body temperature, shape of the body, type of body covering. The dead remains of a previously unknown animal are found in the forest. Which of the features listed above could be used to classify the animal? Now we chose C. The animal is already dead, so you wouldn't be able to get a temperature. We move on to 4. 4 refers to the relationship between the following pair of organisms: barnacle and sharkback, shark and man, man and the malaria protozoa. Now pretty much you could use the elimination method to answer to this one, so let us go with man and malaria. We know that that's a parasitic relationship. If we were supposed to look at shark and man, we know that that is a predatory relationship. So we are pretty much at B because barnacle is going to be a commensal relationship. Now we're at 5. Which of the following statement about food chain is true? We chose A. Energy from the sun is transferred from one organism to the subsequent organism. We understand that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It pretty much moved from one form to another. So it was easy to choose A there. 6. Which of the following is not true about decomposer? We chose B. They reproduce faster in low temperature. That is not true. You will relate to you having something in the refrigerator. It won't become spoiled as easily as if you were supposed to have it out in a higher temperature. For 7, which of the following organelles is the site of aerobic respiration? That's textbook. It's going to be the mitochondrion. And now we're up on back to 8. 8 refers to the following diagram of a typical plant cell. Which of the labeled part is not found in an animal cell? Now that labeled part is going to be number 2 there, the chloroplast. Alright, so number 1 is going to be the mitochondria, but number 2 is going to be the chloroplast. So the chloroplast is not found in an animal cell. Number 9. Plant cells do not burst when placed in water because we chose B. Plant cells are surrounded by cellulose cell walls, and that makes it very rigid, so it doesn't burst as would the animal cell. So we are up to question number 10. Which of the following combination correctly show a gas that is a raw material and a gas that is a product of photosynthesis. Now, the raw material for photosynthesis is always going to be water and carbon dioxide, and then the product is going to be glucose, oxygen, water. So for this particular question, we're going to be choosing raw material to be carbon dioxide and the product to be oxygen. Question number 11, which of the following are not autotrophs? Autotrophs make their own food. So here, fungi would not be an autotroph because the fungi would be feeding via its hyphae. Number 12, which of the following occur as a result of a deficiency of nitrogen in plants? Now here you'll see we X'd out A. That was what we got as answer. It says yellowing of older leaf of a plant. We think that by excretion normally the older leaf will become yellow and fall off as they age, so we thought that this would not have been the best answer, so we chose B, stunted growth with chlorotic plant with reduced yield. Chlorotic there meaning yellow enough a leaf because it just cannot have enough chlorophyll, so we went for B for the answer for number 12. Now looking at the food test here in question number 13, it refers to the table below, which shows the observation when a food was tested using different reagents. Now here we have the test and the observation. Now iodine tested and we got a blue-black positive color. It suggests that starch is there. Sodium hydroxide with copper sulfate, the burette reagent, we got purple. This suggests that there was protein there. And we used Benedict solution or Felin solution. We got no color change, so there is no reducing sugar. So we went with A as the answer. Starch was present and of course protein. Then we go to question number 14. Which of the following options is a function of hydrochloric acid in the stomach? We chose providing a medium for pepsin. You would agree with us that pepsin needed this acidic environment in order to function in the stomach. That's where it's found. Question number 15 refers to the following apparatus used in an investigation. There we have a thermometer. You can see it well outlined. What we're going to be looking at, make sure in your exam you pay attention to the labeling on this diagram. The initial temperature of the beans was noted and readings were taken at regular intervals, twice daily for 4 days. The data obtained were used to plot the graph below. Now let's look at the graph. Good, there we have. Over time we find that temperature was increasing, then temperature started falling. Now the increase in temperature in the vessel is best explained by the fact that the seeds are using their food store. Now using their food store here, our interpretation is that respiration is taking place and as such we're having a rise in the temperature. Question number 16. Which of the following is not a reason for placing green plants in an aquarium? We chose C because we don't place a plant in an aquarium to remove the chlorine. But a plant, of course, could provide food, could, of course, provide oxygen, and it could remove waste if we had carbon dioxide there to be removed. So, of course, but not chlorine. So, number 17, we chose D. The question reads, which of the following characteristics is not a feature of a respiratory surface? You would agree that a respiratory surface is never thick, cannot be thick, but all the others are indeed true. Question number 18. The reactants of aerobic respiration are. So we're most time, as far as I know, the reactants are going to be on the left. So we're going to be reacting glucose with oxygen. The condition there is the enzyme pretty much in the mitochondria. We're going to be producing some energy, carbon dioxide, and of course water. So we chose B to be the answer for question number 18. Question number 19, the amoeba obtain all the oxygen it needs by diffusion via its cell membrane, while a human needs to have special respiratory surface for this purpose. The best reason for this difference is that D was the answer chosen, and why we chose D, we looked at the surface area to volume ratio. The human surface area to volume ratio is small for diffusion to be efficient. And what that means, if you were supposed to look at the amoeba, it's pretty much flat like a sheet of paper. So it's very easy for that oxygen to pass through. But when you look at a human being so compact, the volume ratio is pretty much small, because you would find that if we were supposed to flatten ourselves out like the amoeba, we'd really be able to use the oxygen. But because we can't flatten ourselves like that, the human surface area to volume ratio is considered to be small for diffusion to take place, right? Question number 20. Which of the following features is most responsible for the efficient uptake of oxygen by red blood cells? Of course, it's a disc shape that causes it to be able to take up the oxygen pretty readily. Question number 21. Which of the following plant does not have a modified vegetative organ or vegetative storage organ? And that, of course, is going to be the mango, because the vegetative storage organ is most time associated with those plants we reproduce asexually. Of course, carrot is not among the group, but there we have ginger and we have a potato. So our answer for question 21 is going to be C. Question 22, mineral salts in plants are transported mainly through the xylem vessel. So we do agree on D. Let's move on down. Now question number 3, which of the following is not a form of excretion in plants? Carbon dioxide diffusing in through the stomata. Now, so you understand that this is not pretty much excretion, the carbon dioxide getting in there to enhance or to enable that process of photosynthesis. Now 24, which of the following is not an excretory product in humans? Of course, undigested food. And if I'm allowed to say, feces, of course, is not an excretory product in human. It's pretty much undigested food. So pretty much, other than saying feces here, they are using undigested food. So remember, feces is not an excretory product. So to the answer here is D, because of that explanation there. Now we're looking at the kidney. Question 25 to 26 refers to the following diagram of a mammalian kidney. There we have it nicely labeled, but our answer here, it asks us in which part of the kidney is a loop of Henle located, and we think it is B, right here in the medulla. So that's where we think it would be located. Now, into which structure is urine emptied? We're thinking that's going to be C. Pretty much that's the pelvis. That's where we think that the urine will be emptied. Now from 23, we're at 26. Now we're going down to 27. Now 27 is a little tricky, because if we were supposed to look at this paper well, the fact that the hand is bent, then the muscle would have looked like this and not like this. But again, we have to look at something else that really stands out. The attachment of the tricep would not be here. The attachment of the bicep would not be there. So that rules this out totally, which brings us to A, which has the correct attachment for both the bicep and tricep. All right, so A is our answer for question number 27. And question 27, it reads, which of a muscle below, which of a muscle bone attachment shown above is accurate? So now we are looking at the attachment, so we have to pay attention to this area here and not pretty much the size of the muscle. All right, now the main function of cartilage at the end of the bone is to reduce friction, so we chose C. Question number 29. Movement is important to the survival of plant because it ensures that 1. Can find food, 2. Grows towards light, 3. Grows towards water, 4. Can respire. The answer there is C. The plant would need movement in order to reach the sunlight and to get water. Alright, so we move on now to question number 30. Now, which type of vertebra is shown above? It is the lumbar, and you can find this diagram in your textbook. Question number 31 refers to the following sequence of events that occur when a student reacts to touching a hot object by withdrawing her hand. Alright, so we have hot object, pain, effector, response. Now, the receptor is the sensory ending in the skin. Alright, so the receptor is the sensory ending in the skin that is going to be picking up that information and transporting it to the CNS, central nervous system. Alright, so we move away from question 31 and we are at question number 32. A nice practical question here. It refers to the following results of an investigation of how woodlice respond to light and moisture. Very important to take note, light and moisture. The results show the number of woodlice that move to varying conditions: light, dark, moist, and dry. And there we have the numbers right in front of us. We chose B to be the answer. Pretty much ensure, the question asks, the above responses are important to the woodlice in order to ensure that they do not become dehydrated. In some paper you might be see desiccated, drying out. You might see that a part of this experiment you might see the silica gel being used, and the silica gel is definitely used to remove moisture. So our answer for question 32 is going to be B. Question 33. This one was not so difficult. Which of the following controls the amount of light that enters the eye? Now we have the radial muscle in the iris and we have the circular muscle in the iris. So we chose A to be the answer, as the lens has nothing to do with controlling light entering the eye. So our answer for 33 is going to be A. Now we're going to be looking at question 34. Which of the following diagram correctly represents the pathway of transmission of an impulse for a spinal reflex? Now we want to ensure that we have a good grasp of the neuron. You want to ensure that you understand what's happening here: sensory neuron, connector neuron, motor neuron, that type of thing. So you want to have an appreciation of the flow of information here. Look at the direction that the information is flowing. Now at no point should the information be flowing in the same direction. So we chose C, information coming here, sensory neuron, connector neuron, then we have the motor neuron and the effector pretty much making the change. So C is the answer there for us. Now 35. Which hormone causes a person to show superhuman or enhanced strength in an emergency situation? Now, if you're from the Caribbean or probably from Jamaica, you would have heard the expression, when trouble take you, pitney shot fit you. And in science, we explain that as the hormone adrenaline that would have caused that extra strength or that superhuman power. So your answer there, adrenaline, B. 36. Which of the following functions of the skin is an example of homeostasis? Now, homeostasis is maintaining of a constant internal environment, and here the maintenance of body temperature is what we chose, so it's going to be D. Now, this is a mathematical question for question 37. Refers to the following simple experiment carried out by a student to investigate growth in corn ceiling. After 3 days, the results were as follows. Let's look at it. Now, all we need to do here, what is the average in height in centimeters, SI unit, of a corn ceiling during the 3 days? So we need to add up all this height here, and then we are going to be measuring it by the number sample, or the number of days. So 10 here. So plant 1, plant 2, plant 3, plant 4, plant 5. So we just look at these growth, divide by 10, and we would end up with the answer 2.25. That's B. Alright, so we had 10 plants there. Alright, question number 38 refers to the following diagram, which shows the growth of a plant after few days in sunlight. Now, your question is, the stem at Q grows upward because we chose D, auxin accumulated on the lower side of the shoot. You'd see this here. For some reason, the sun acting on this area here would cause the auxin to go there, or one might say gravity, and as such a plant, the auxin enhances the growth of the plant. So there's more auxin here, so it causes this side of the plant to grow more, as such a plant turns up into here. Alright, so we go to question 39. Now, which of the following sequence of events is correct? We chose C. What we're going to be having, copulation first, then we're going to be having fertilization, then implantation to gestation. Alright, that's an easy one, that's textbook. 40. The reproduction of the amoeba by binary fission is an example of asexual reproduction because A, 2 offsprings are produced by one parent. Remember, asexual reproduction includes pretty much the production of offspring by using a part of the parent to produce an identical offspring. Question 41. Which of the following involves the process of asexual reproduction? Asexual. So asexual, again, we are using a part of the plant, so it's going to be vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation. So your answer there is C. Question 42 is a textbook question. Your answer there is going to be A, fertilization. The most appropriate heading for this diagram is fertilization. Question 43. Which of the following comparison of a male and female reproductive system is incorrect? So the testes to ovary, that sounds wonderful to me. Sperm to egg, wonderful to me. Sperm duct to fallopian tube, wonderful. So by default, method of elimination would go with glands and uterus. So B we chose to be the answer. Now let's look at question 44. Contraception is used primarily to limit the size of the family. Most women would be using some form of contraceptive, or persons who are engaged in that sort of activity would be using some form of contraceptive. And the main reason for using this is to ensure that we limit the size of our family, limit the growth of a population, not so much for the protection of sexually transmitted disease. That is something to itself. Now 45. Which of the following statement confirms that a coconut is a fruit? One of the things we'll remember about a fruit is that a fruit has pretty much a three part, a exocarp, a mesocarp, and endocarp, and all together called a pericarp. So it shows D, it has a three-layered pericarp. So D is the answer for question 45. 46. As a result of mitosis, each daughter cell has the same number of chromosomes as the parent. And this is another textbook. Had it been meiosis, it would have been the other way around, but for 46, your answer is going to be B. For 47, in which of the following does meiosis occur? Which shows the testes of a mammal. And again, this is textbook. Of the number of chromosomes would be passed on to the offspring. All right, now we move on down. So the answer there is for C for 47. So we are going down now to 48. And in 48, it refers to the table which shows the number of brown and green grasshoppers found in equal areas of dry and green respectively. Now we have brown grasshoppers, green grasshoppers, and we looked at the dry grass. So we had, in the dry grass, we had 19 brown grasshoppers. In the dry grass, we had 6 green grasshoppers. In the green grass, we had 8 brown grasshoppers and 25 green grasshoppers. We chose C for the answer. It says, which of the following which of the following is the best explanation for these observations? And we think it was camouflage because it protects the grasshopper from predators. So C is your answer for 48. 49, we up on into genetics, and I did some crossing on this paper here based on what I thought the answer was. So 49 refers to the following option, which are 4 patterns of genetic inheritance. Now here I have the Punnett square being drawn. I draw both sides, but here I put it in and I try to map it pretty nicely. Now we think that the answer is D. For D, you are going to be getting the ratio, as it said in the question, 1 to 2 to 1. So it's a what pattern will produce 1 to 2 to 1 ratio in the phenotype. Now remember, the phenotype is that which you can see. So here you are going to be having, from this you're going to be having 1 red, 1 white. See double R here. So you're going to be having 1 red, 1 white, and of course 2 pink. Alright, so there we end up with a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. Of course, you'd have to work it out using the heterozygous here to work it out in order to get the answer. This might be a little distracting. Now we're at question 50. Which of the following is not involved in natural selection? Alright, natural selection, natural. There is nothing natural about grafting. So we go into the field and we graft a plant in order to get a desirable plant. But it is not natural, it's artificial, because of course we would have been doing that. So our answer there for 50 is going to be A. For 51, which of the following correctly lists example of pathogenic, nutritional, deficiency, and physiological diseases. Now let's look at what's happening here. So we chose D. AIDS is clearly pathogenic. It's caused by a pathogen, a virus. Nutritional deficiency, anemia, lack of iron, that type of thing, deficiency. And physiological, something is not working, diabetes, the islet of Langerhans in your pancreas, it's not working, and as such you are having a diabetes. So our answer for 51 is going to be D. For 52, which of the following trigger the formation of blood clot? We chose A, the thrombocyte, same thing that you would have called platelets. B is the red blood cell, C white blood cell, and of course D white blood cell. So the only favorable thing here would have been the thrombocytes, which are actually the platelets that would stimulate blood clot. Through which of the following can natural immunity be obtained? By breast milk and through the placenta. So we chose C for 53. Your answer for 53 is going to be C. So we move on up to 54. 54, this is another nice one. A vector is defined as an organism that, we chose D, transmit disease organism. Now you understand, though it is an organism, it could pretty much transmit an organism that has the disease. So a vector pretty much transmit disease causing agent, organism, that type of thing. Alright, so here we go. So our answer for 54 is going to be D. For 55, it refers to the following method of disease treatment. Now we are looking at improved personal hygiene, isolation of persons with the disease, and we're looking at good sanitary practices. For example, proper garbage disposal. We're looking at careful food preparation. Our answer is going to be B, because this pretty much guides the infectious disease. Now in inherited disease, this wouldn't help you. All these safety methods here, these treatment control method wouldn't help. Cause of inadequate supply of nutrients, that's a deficiency disease, so this wouldn't help. Caused by malfunction of a body system, this again is physiological, so again it wouldn't help. So your answer for 55 is always going to be B. 56. Fish, snail, water grass, and tadpoles living in a freshwater pond may be described as. Alright, good. We chose ecosystem. If you understand all these organisms interacting, it's pretty much a community. But when we put the water pond in the mix, then it becomes an ecosystem. So for 56, it's going to be C. We're moving on down to 57. 57. Which of the following sampling method are used to estimate the distribution of species of organisms living in soil? Now immediately we could eliminate the net and the quadrat. One might be thinking immediately about the Tolgren funnel and the put or something like that. So here we can safely say bottles and jar. We chose D to be the answer. We are going to be using D to capture these organisms in the soil. Let's look at 58. Two soil components that are derived from the parent rock material are, B is our answer, sand and mineral salt. There is nothing else there to be chosen. Now we move on to question 59. Which of the following resources is renewed through natural cycles? Of course, the forest. If we don't overexploit the forest, it will naturally renew itself. So answer there is going to be the forest. Just use it sustainably and it will renew itself. Question number 60, our final question. Which of the following practices does not help to conserve the environment? And that is going to be overgrazing, because overgrazing is also overexploitation. And grazing here refers to our animal eating the grass, and they can eat it like really low to a point where we start having sheet erosion. It might end up in gully, rill erosion, that type of thing. So definitely for 60, our answer is A. For your multiple choice exam, please be reminded to read all questions thoroughly, go through all the options that are available, and use all the multiple choice skills that are available to answer your questions. We'll be making some available in one of our publications. So we do remind you, take some time and do your exam properly. Practice your questions, and remember, these questions can fall in any order should they be repeated in any exam. So make sure that you understand what was explained well. Thanks for watching another of our presentation. Please be reminded to like, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell. Leave a comment below so we can respond and have a clear understanding of what you're thinking. Until next time, walk good.